All right, hello and welcome to the Vegan Luna podcast. I'm here in the wonderful country of Saudi Arabia once again, and I'm sitting down here with a super exciting person. They are a business owner, and that is so exciting because they are spreading the message that we talk about all the time on the show. Her name is Ayla, and she has a little business where she makes some amazing food. I just had some of her food, the carrot cake, and some of her hummus and her crackers, and her menu is huge. If you look at the menu on her Instagram, it's amazing. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's actually really nice to meet you, and I'm really very happy to be part of this. You know, spreading the awareness, spreading the word, supporting our fellow vegans.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about where we are right now.
Here. So we are currently in my plant room at my house. So actually, this is since I turned vegan, I found this sudden love for plants and life and growing things. So I dedicated a room just for my plants, and it was 100 plants a few months ago, and I think I've gone way over that.
Wow, over 100 plants.
Over 100 plants.
So what are some benefits of having plants in the home? Because I hear there's some benefits.
There are. I mean, throughout the day, they clean out the air. They're natural purifiers. And then there are actually a few that are beneficial in your bedroom. And they actually do the same at night. So aloe vera, spider plants. I've got actually a bunch of those. I've got aloe vera right there. I've got a few spider plants around here. And I have them in my bedroom. And they purify. And the color green just relaxes a person, you know, it kind of calms a person. So
tell us about the city we're in, Riyadh.
So Riyadh, I grew up here. I moved here when I was 8, and I lived here throughout high school, and it's changed. Like the way everything's changing, the way people are embracing veganism and new aspects, new ways of life, even, you know, healthier living. It's amazing to see.
Yeah,
especially
I understand.
Since I've seen the beginning of it. Yeah,
I understand. There's been a lot of health issues relating to like some of the Western eating, some of the ways that the West eats, and there's been a lot of health issues here. Do you know about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the moment franchising started and all the fast food chains from the States came here, that's all people would eat. You know, they didn't know any better, so they would think that a regular meal, you know, for our kids, it's let's take them to McDonald's, let's get some French fries and chicken nuggets.
They have a kids meal, so it's okay, right?
Exactly. So no one really knew that what they were eating was wrong, or that they shouldn't be eating all this deep fried food. And so people had a really big problem with obesity here, and they still kind of do. It's now starting to get better. Now people are starting to open up and realize, what I'm eating is actually causing a lot of health problems, so let's start eating healthier.
And so you said at 8 years old you lived here. So what was living like as a kid in Saudi Arabia?
I mean, as a kid, I don't really remember much. It was fine. But then it's when you get older, when you start becoming a teenager, it was not easy because there are a lot of rules here, and you know, you can't socialize normally with other genders outside. So it was tough, you know, and you have to be covered the whole time. I mean, it's not as bad as people make it out to be outside, but it was, you know, it was trying. But now things have changed. You know, there's a lot of places that have opened up. You don't have segregated seating in restaurants. I'm driving now. I'm hoping that abaya will come off soon.
Yeah, I heard that the abaya, which is the outfit that typically the women wear to cover, is changing soon.
They've been talking about it a lot.
So yeah,
recently,
I hope so as well. I'm for women's rights. I mean, I share a lot on my Facebook, especially, not so much on Instagram. Instagram's more food and the podcast and a little bit my journey. But Facebook is kind of like everything, just everything that I believe in. Yeah. And I find myself very fascinated in the women of power, you know, or the women like the sports leaders. Like I was so fascinated recently in the US, the World Cup, where they've won like their 5th World Cup or something like that. And the co-captain, one of the co-captains is vegan, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
Right? I think her name is Alex. And then the other girl, Megan, who's the other co-captain, they're very outspoken on politics and women's rights. And one of the things that they fight for, which is really interesting about equality, is the equal pay.
Yeah.
And so there's such a huge discrepancy. Now, yeah, you might look at the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and you say, oh, Saudi Arabia doesn't treat women equally, but neither does the U.S.
Yeah, but
You know?
I haven't actually seen an issue with equal pay here for me.
You haven't seen
I was
that.
always paid fairly.
That's
I've
great.
I've
That's
never
amazing.
had
So
that issue here,
their U.S. has a potentially a bigger
Yeah.
issue when you talk about equal pay. But what was fascinating is how they described how much more money their sport makes, how much less that they make, and how many more wins they have, and how many more World Cup titles they have. And even just when the men's team loses, they make more money than when the women's team wins. So it's
Wow.
like it's a huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
So it's just I've always been fascinated with that, and so I find that very interesting. So tell me about your journey into food. Like, why did you start changing maybe the way that you cook, the way that you eat?
So I've always been fascinated with food. I mean, the earliest memory I have is being in a kitchen making a cake for my mom for Mother's Day. I've always, gravitated towards the kitchen. But I never thought that I wanted it as a career, because I always thought, if I start cooking what people tell me, it's going to lose its appeal, and I didn't want that. So I actually did hotel management. And then, through, long story short, I realized that nope, the kitchen's where I want to be. So I was living in Dubai at the time, and I came all the way back here to kind of just reroute my life. And I started looking at courses. I mean, I was big on meat. Chicken and cheese, that was the worst for me. I could eat it all day long. And even when my husband met me, we were slow roasting, meat and I don't know what. And then, and I've always loved animals. That was always a second passion for me. And it's actually very funny, but there was this one single moment, and that turned me vegan. I was at the at the vet with my, taking for checkups. And I was talking to this girl, and I found out she was vegan and she loved animals. And I'm like, but how do you do it? And she just kind of looked at me and she's like, well, if you really love them, then how can you eat them? And my mind just blew. I'm like, oh my God, I can't. So after that, every time I would look at chicken or meat, I would see the animal in front of me, and I felt so much guilt. So then I'm like, wait, that's true. How can I say that I'm an animal lover and justify eating them at the same time? So what I did was I went gradual. I didn't just cut everything cold turkey, because that's the easiest way to fall off the wagon again, go back. So I started with chicken and meat, and I was working at a Japanese restaurant at the time, where every morning I would be, filleting salmon, and I loved raw salmon, so that would be my breakfast on the side. And so it was transitional. And I started actually feeling sick when I cut off meat and chicken, which is when I decided to take a nutritional course. It wasn't vegan based or anything, but then I realized that even a regular nutrition course kind of pushed you towards eating more plants and removing animal products from your diet. And so there I learned how to substitute my protein, or where to get my calcium from, or magnesium, and all the things that I need. And then, I cut off eggs and milk, and then the last stretch was cheese. That was the most difficult. But now, even when I see it, I'm not even tempted, because I feel so much better without it. I didn't even realize how badly it was affecting me until I stopped. So yeah, and then that's when I realized this country doesn't have enough vegan option, doesn't have any vegan restaurants, and the community here I saw was huge. There is a really big and ever-growing community of vegans. So that's when I decided to start my own thing. So I have Ayla's Vegan Kitchen, and what I essentially do is I offer lunches. So people can order their lunches and we deliver to them, and they can order cakes from us, and they can look at all our menus and just pre-order everything. So yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Yeah. So do you have a team that helps you with that, or is it just you?
It's actually me and my mom. So
wow.
My mom was
so
always
cool.
a baker, but she wasn't vegan. So I kind of edged her on, and it's funny because her vegan cakes now get more praise than her cakes ever did. And so it's essentially just me and my mom in the kitchen, and we have someone who helps clean and package.
Oh, nice.
But we did just get our CR, and we will soon be looking for a space. So what we're going to do is just open a kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
To branch out.
Yeah, it's really the best way. I mean, you have your experience in hotel management, right? Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of experience in the restaurant. And what I start to see in restaurants, particularly, because that's where a lot of my expertise is one thing that's getting higher is rent is getting higher. Another thing that's getting higher is food cost.
Yeah.
Is getting higher. And another thing that's getting higher is labor, right? They keep on getting higher. So you're almost like the big restaurants are really struggling. It's like retail, the big box retail. It's like they had to condense. They had to figure out a way to sell their product in a different fashion. So e-commerce, right? E-commerce is so big. And I think that's the way that it's coming out with food, where it's like you just have a kitchen and you just deliver only. And things are so much more convenient. I even saw your husband right now talking to Alexa. You know, you just say, Alexa, I want some Ayla's Kitchen. bring me my order from Ayla's Kitchen. And there you go. There you have it. And then it's on the way. I think that even in the restaurants that I had worked in, I seen the transition from the big kitchens or the big restaurants, and they're starting to shrink in size. And it's just a business.
I mean, the amount of food apps there are, on my phone, I have 5 that I gravitate towards. Depending on what I want, I'll choose, a different one to order from. And majority of the restaurants that I've never actually been to, but I know because I've ordered from the apps. It's just easier, convenient.
Yeah. And that's definitely the way of the future. And ordering through voice, even us talking right now, like I think voice is a big thing. And I think voice is a big way to communicate what you want and what your message is, because it's so much easier. Like if you look at television and billboards and all those type of ads, like they say that people that post billboards, for example, that first of all, those are designed for the passengers. What is the passenger doing while they're riding in a car?
They're on their phone.
They're on their phone.
Sadly enough,
right?
they're on their phone.
And what is like 50% of the drivers doing? They're on their phone as well, right? And so it's almost obsolete technology, right? Same as television. How many people watch the commercials on television,
now
right?
you can skip. Now you have the option to skip everything.
You have Netflix and all the other streaming devices, right, where there aren't even commercials. Right? And then you have a podcast, right? The example of a podcast, right? Where you can do that while you're running. You do that while you're working out. You can listen while you're driving. There's so much more flexibility. It's really hard to watch a long form video on YouTube while you're driving. Although people do it, but it's a lot harder.
I don't recommend it.
I definitely don't recommend that. So that's interesting. So what kind of... how can people find you if they really want to try your food? What's the easiest way?
On Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah. You just type in Ayla's Vegan Kitchen. Ayla is an Ayla, just because a lot of people spell that differently. And it's all on there. And I mean, I post monthly. So what I do is I pre-post the menu for a month. So every day, and if you like, you can try it for a day. You could do 3 days a week. You could do 5 days a week, or for the whole month. So prices vary depending on how many orders you do, and it delivers. And it's always a main course, a side dish, and a dessert.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it always has protein, calcium. It has everything that it needs. I make sure that it's a very balanced diet. It has the right types of fat. It has very minimal oils. If anything, I use a bit of coconut oil and olive oil. So only on the natural. And as sweeteners, we don't use any white sugar. We only use maple syrup, dates, raw sugar. That's it.
Wow, that's amazing. So not only is it tasty, but it's also good for you.
And we don't fry anything.
And no fry anything.
At all.
That's amazing.
If anything, we use an air fryer.
Air fryer,
And baking.
Yep, and baking.
So it has to be healthy. I want people to have the option of not only good vegan food, but healthy vegan food. When you're sitting in an office all day and you're not moving and you're in front of a screen, the last thing you need is junk food. You need something to help you give
energy.
To give you energy.
To give you energy, a boost. Like you shouldn't get to that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock where you just want to take a nap. And that's usually after you have a big, heavy, fatty meal, typically. So what would you say is the difference between, I mean, some people say vegan is healthy, vegan is not healthy, plant-based versus vegan. What is the difference to you?
I mean, vegan is essentially not using any animal products, but then now you have vegan burgers and vegan pizza and you have French fries and you have all the meat replacements that are not healthy because it's filled with chemicals and it's processed. But when you say plant-based, you're eating everything natural. So you're eliminating all the processed items from your meal, from your life. So that's what we try and do as much as we can. So any condiment, ketchup, mayonnaise, all these kind of things, we make them in-house. If it's bread, if it's pasta, it's made in-house. Anything that I can make at home, I do. I'd rather do that than send something that I bought out of a can or a jar or frozen. So, yeah.
So how are people liking the food? How's your feedback?
I mean, we have a slogan at the back of our business card, and it's because I heard it so many times. It's, I can't believe it's vegan.
Yeah.
So all the food that I make.
I use that hashtag sometimes.
Well, then perfect. You're promoting me at the same time.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, even my husband. My husband, he was big on meat. I mean, every day he'd have to have meat or chicken, it had to be there. That was his idea of protein. And since, I was with him back then, we'd do that together. But now he stopped asking me to cook meat or chicken at the house because he's satisfied. He gets my meals 3 days a week as well from the lunch delivery. Him and his co-workers, and none of them are vegan, but they like the good, healthy, delicious food. And the most important thing is to make it taste good.
Yep, absolutely.
We also, we use sometimes soy curds, in place of chicken. So I make the chicken shawarma and with my own flatbread, and it's all the elements, all the flavors are there, all the textures are there. So you can't tell the difference. All you know is that nothing was harmed in the making of it, and it's healthier. Yeah,
there's a restaurant in Kuwait that makes a vegan shawarma, and it's amazing. It's like, it's seriously the best. I think it's the best a vegan item in all of Kuwait. I think that one, it's so good.
Wow, that's a lot of praise.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that one's delicious. I've had some videos on my Instagram about it. Nice. So tell me about some of the benefits that maybe you received through changing your lifestyle this way. Some of the health benefits maybe.
Yeah, well, I can wake up a lot easier now.
Yeah.
I had that was the biggest issue as long as I can remember. Waking up at like 6 a.m. was just, it's not possible. My dad would have to throw water on my face to wake me up to school. And now I find that I wake up, not only do I wake up early, I have energy throughout the day. I feel better. So I didn't realize that I was always bloated and I was always lethargic and I was always tired throughout the day. But that was because of the dairy and, all the things that your body doesn't really need. And now I have more energy. And I feel better. I feel healthier. I feel lighter. I've lost a bit of weight. That's also because I'm trying to be healthy. But
yeah, of course.
Oh, my skin's cleared up. A lot of people ask me what I'm doing different or why I look like I'm glowing sometimes. It's because of the food I'm eating. There's so many.
That's probably the biggest thing that I hear is my skin. It's like, oh, you have such nice skin. Oh, your skin is good. What do you use? I'm like, I don't even wash my face. Like, I might wash my face like once a week.
Not in the morning?
I don't need to. Like, it's like not dirty. Yeah. Like typically.
My hair.
It's not oily.
My hair is healthier, it's thicker, it's fuller, it's shinier, and that's also flax seeds, right?
Yeah, flax seeds, that definitely helps. Yeah, well, that's so interesting. I think that's amazing what you're doing. I really like your story and your journey, and it sounds like you're making a big impact on the community. On the community.
The thing is, there are a lot of vegans. People say that vegans are, assertive and they fight with you and they're trying to push their beliefs onto you. But there are a few people like that anywhere.
Yeah,
but what
sure.
I try and do is you can't judge anyone who is making a small change, even if you decide to cut out milk and replace it with almond milk. These small changes make a difference. My husband going from eating meat once a day to once every 2 weeks, that makes a huge impact. So you can't judge, you can't force yourself on anyone because it'll backfire. Yeah. So what I try and do is if anyone asks me a question, I want to be informative. I want to give them the facts. I want to tell them the information that I know, but I will never force anyone to turn vegan. And the best way I found is everywhere I go, of course, as a vegan, if you're going to dinner somewhere, I don't want to impose and tell them, oh, I don't eat this, I don't eat that, so they struggle to find something to make me. So I bring my own food. And I find that a lot of people end up loving the food and kind of changing their views on vegan. So a lot of people still think that, oh, vegan food is salad or it's bland or it's tasteless, it's boring. It's the opposite. Piece of meat, you put some salt on it, you throw it in the grill, and that's it. But with vegan food, you have to do so much to kind of recreate it that it's more interesting. Yeah,
absolutely. And then you also have like the places that maybe aren't as healthy, but they're still vegan. Like, for example, I saw on your Instagram you went to a vegan junk food bar. I don't know if you noticed this shirt. It's from Vegan Junk Food Bar. Yeah? All right.
Oh,
Yeah, vegan junk food bar. So I got this in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and I saw that. So tell me about that place, because that's my favorite.
Oh my God, when I saw that, I told my husband we have to go there. And usually when we decide to go for junk food, he gets a burger. And after we were done, half an hour later, he was shocked. He's like, if he had eaten a normal burger, with the cheese and the meat and everything, he would have been full and sleepy and, like hungover off food the entire day. But because it was vegan, even if it was deep fried and unhealthy, half an hour later, he was fine. Like he felt good, like, because it's so easily digestible that it doesn't stay as a lump on your stomach. And oh my God, that food was so good. The burgers were so good. And they had these side dishes. They were kind of like...
They were like the fried Mexican balls.
Yeah,
Did you have
balls,
those ones?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they
Yeah.
had ones with mushroom, I think, on the inside.
Yeah.
I think they're the Mexican arancini balls.
Yeah.
They were so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love their like they had like the black bread, like the charcoal bread,
Yes, I think
and
I
they
had that
had
one.
like the
chicken,
the double
vegan.
chicken,
Yeah.
like double chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And what was so interesting about that place is, first of all, the thing that I liked about it is that it was so like hip and so cool, and there were so many people there. Like if it wasn't called vegan junk food bar and it was just called junk food bar,
Yeah.
like you would never even probably realize that it is a vegan place.
Yeah.
Like they had beer, and they were serving alcohol, and they were serving like stuff like that. And then they also had the music that was like, they were playing like hip hop, old school hip hop, like
Yeah.
Tupac. And I just found it like a very fun place, and it was
And there was
crowded.
graffiti all over the walls,
Yeah.
which I love. Very
It was just great
colorful.
design, and their Instagram is beautiful too.
Yeah.
I really like the way they do their Instagram, and they're very progressive. They're not like, we just do our thing. They're willing to incorporate new things. Like I saw recently that they're adding this new plant-based salmon.
I saw that. I think
looks
that's
really good.
actually a London-based company.
It is, yeah.
That I've been dying to try.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Good Catch? No, I forget the name
I
of it.
forget the name,
Yeah,
but I have been staring at their Instagram page forever, and I was too full after the burger and the fries and all those little balls to get that. But my mind was like, okay, next time I have to try this because it looks so real, and it's made out of an algae.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect. Fish.
Yeah, it gets that fishy taste,
Yeah,
right?
and even the texture. I mean, I make my own smoked salmon out of carrots.
Yeah,
But it's
that's common, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, it tastes like it feels like it, but it will never look like the sashimi, the raw salmon, which is, I think, the only thing I really crave.
Yeah,
Still, yeah.
Because it's not a easy one to come by for a substitute, but it's amazing
Yeah.
that someone can make that and have that similar taste and texture. So you're truly not missing out on anything, especially with
Yeah.
places like that. And I like them because they're growing. Like they have multiple locations in Amsterdam, and I think they want to franchise and branch out.
I mean, Amsterdam itself was so vegan friendly.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. Anywhere you went, even if they didn't have a vegan option, they'd look at you, they'd be like, don't worry, we can veganize anything you want. It was
Even at
amazing.
places you didn't expect. I remember I went to a place, it was like an old school Italian place, and it's just like, no way they have like, and they're like, yeah, we have 3 vegan options. I'm like, really? Yeah, it was amazing.
Actually, recently, a few days ago for Eid, we went to Bahrain.
Yeah.
And we went to the Four Seasons because
There's a new one there, I heard.
Matthew Kenny, he has a menu at the lounge. But I was with my husband and his parents, and they not everyone wants to sit at the lounge bar and eat that, but they were nice enough to tell me that if we went to Wolfgang Puck's steak restaurant, that I could still order. But the waiter looked at me, he's like, okay, if you want, order the salad from there, but please, can we veganize something for you? Like, he was insistent. He's like, my chef would love to make you something. And so I got a tomato risotto, which was delicious. So a lot of places they know what they're talking about. The staff know, when you ask them for a vegan, they know exactly what you mean, and they're willing to accommodate, which is amazing. It wasn't like that before.
Yeah, it's definitely times are changing, and it's all about awareness, and that's one of the things I try to focus on. The biggest is spreading the awareness and open people's mind and sharing, like what you say, forcing beliefs and all that sort of stuff. Of course, that doesn't work. Like nobody wants that. And when they compare it to like the way that people force religion or anything like that, it's just first, it's not the same as that. Yeah. But second of all, that doesn't work either. You know, that isn't an effective way. There's always an effective way to spread a positive message, and that's what this is all about. So that brings me to my next point. What are some other things that maybe you do within Riyadh or online or anything that's maybe active to help animals?
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Well, as you saw before, we kind of have a shelter of our own here. We've adopted 6 animals. I also work with a very active group of people who foster, who rescue. So I actually have so many like Instagram groups and WhatsApp groups where someone will post, oh, we saw a dog here, it needs rescuing. So we kind of form a group and we go. We are very, very active in trying to help the animals here and educating. So there's a Riyadh shelter here. It's actually the first proper government, what do you call it?
Animal shelter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's called Riyadh Animal Shelter. And what they do, and I've been a part of that once, is they go from school to school and they might bring a cat or a dog and they'll sit there and teach the children how to handle cats, how to handle dogs. You don't pull, what to do if you see an animal that's hurt, who to call, how to treat, just compassion. Because a lot of people who grew up in families that were afraid of animals just get the reflex, oh, there's a dog, let's kick it. So raising awareness on the behavior, on how to teach your children to respect all life, that's a very big thing here that we need to do it more.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of TNR programs where we trap, neuter, and release to kind of reduce the growing population of animals.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that education from a young age is very important. I always think, what kind of world would we have if we taught all our children to be compassionate from that first age? And I heard a really good speech from an activist that I really enjoy watching. His name is Earthling Ed.
Oh yeah.
In one of his speeches, he talks about how the speciesism, right, which is the belief that some species' lives are higher value than others, whether it's dogs, or cats, or chickens, or cows, or any of the species. And one thing he says is, what if we were to teach them from a young age that all species, their value of life is equal, from a human to a dog to a cat, and you would treat them with that such respect. It doesn't mean you have to love them, but you treat them with that respect. No, but imagine
if you taught a person to respect something as small as an ant, the amount of respect they'll give mankind, their own
Exactly.
species.
How likely are they to be racist?
Yeah.
How are they likely to be sexist?
Yeah.
How are they likely to be all of those other things that we want to rid? Yeah. And he believes that speciesism is the root. And if you were to rip that root out, that you might end a lot of the other isms that are associated with negative.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because again, someone else said, if you put we are born with compassion. If you put a baby in a pen with a chicken or a chick and an apple, no way will he eat the chicken and play with the apple. It's always going to be the opposite. You see a living thing from birth and you know that this is not food. And then as we grow up, people are saying tradition. Tradition can be changed. Tradition, you can start new traditions, for Eid, instead of butchering a lamb, why don't we find new ways, new traditions where you can bring your whole family together, that doesn't involve death.
Yeah. So. I had a podcast yesterday with a young man here in Saudi Arabia. His name is Vegan Youth on Instagram, and he was telling me a story of Eid, where his very first memory of Eid and how they had a goat or a lamb, and he played with the goat and he loved it and he would feed it and he became his friend, and then the next morning he was gone. He's like, where's my friend? He's missing. And then his dad showed him the video of what happened as a 3-year-old, and it said traumatized him. It didn't turn him vegan, but he cried and he was upset. It was very traumatic, for that to happen, and he couldn't understand why.
And in a lot of families, they actually get the children to do it themselves because it's kind of a passage into manhood or something like that, and that's terrible, because that's you traumatize the child, and then you teach the child that it's okay to harm living things.
He told me a story of something that you just said, where the child did that. They taught the child to do that, and then he killed his sister the same way. That was his story. So when you're a kid, it's hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
To them, they're the same.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Exactly.
value. So if it's okay to kill this one, it's okay to kill that one.
Exactly.
It's hard to differentiate.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
I know, it's horrible.
I mean, I turned my sister a vegetarian very easily. We were in Minnesota, and she came to visit, and I took her to a farm sanctuary, and she met a cow. His name was Steve, and he loved belly rubs.
Yeah.
And he loved being pet under his chin. And she's like, "Oh God, it's just like a dog." I was like, exactly. They play, they love, they form bonds. They are no different. I actually call them grass puppies.
Yeah.
Because that is what they are.
Yeah.
And since then, she could not eat meat anymore.
Yeah.
And chicken and...
Yeah, I think you use an interesting term where you say turn vegan or turn vegetarian, and that almost has a negative connotation because it's not like we're turning. It's almost a reintroduction to your compassion,
Yes.
or a reintroduction to your empathy. It's like put yourself in their shoes. How would you want to be treated? How would you want to be?
Exactly.
Could you imagine their life and what it's like to be that cow or to be that chicken in those really horrible situations?
Yeah.
Just even the nicest, happiest farms, it's still you're forced to be on someone's land.
That's
You're
the
forced
thing
to
that
be.
gets me when people tell me, "Oh, don't worry, the chicken I eat is sourced from a place where they're very happy," but they still don't want to die.
Yeah.
So you can't say that they led a happy life. What does that mean?
It's almost a bigger injustice to me because it's like you have one animal that's suffering, that's going through a lot of pain, a lot of misery, and you have another animal that's extremely happy and they love their life, right? Which one is better to take? If you had to choose, it's almost the one that's suffering. You want to put them out of their misery.
Kind of,
would
yeah.
be almost better than the one that has the happy life that loves their
I
life.
mean, that's when people ask me, what's the difference? Why would you turn vegan? Why can't you stay vegetarian? It's because at least the animals died. Their suffering ended. But in dairy farms, it's ongoing. It never ends, So it's actually worse. Dairy is actually worse. Dairy farms are so much more brutal than slaughterhouses. So...
Yeah, the suffering is more prolonged.
Yeah.
Not only the suffering on a day-to-day basis, like just the milking is obviously painful.
But I mean, imagine.
But your baby being taken away. So emotionally, it's a lot more damaging.
Do you know that cows cry for their young for over 4 months? Over 4 months. I mean, imagine a woman, a human woman, having a child, not even being able to hold her and being taken away. It's the same thing. They have the same emotions. Just because they can't vocalize them, they can't say them, they can't stand up for themselves, doesn't mean it's not there. It's just like fish. A lot of people turn pescatarian because fish are fine, but just because you can't hear their screams does not mean that they're not screaming, they're not suffering. If you look at salmon boats when they're fishing, the boat is filled with salmon that's just being thrown on there, and you can see them gasping for air. You can see the suffering. So just because you can't hear them doesn't mean it's just basically these are just ways for people to rid the guilt.
Yeah.
Oh, fish don't suffer. Oh, but they were happy on the farm. They are trying to make themselves feel better, and they're trying to kind of close their ears to the truth, to what's really happening.
Yeah.
So again, it's just about, okay, why wouldn't you turn vegan? Oh, I wouldn't know what to eat. So if you sit there and just show them how easy it is to substitute, you don't even need to substitute because of the amount of vegetables and meals and recipes there are that are just plant-based.
Most people go through a cycle of about 7 different meals anyways.
Yeah.
About 7 different kind of dishes, right? On average,
Yeah.
right? So if you can find 7 different substitutes for those, not necessarily direct substitutes, but very similar, you're more than halfway there.
Exactly.
as far as solving that solution.
Yeah, again, my sister would be like, but I go to a restaurant and there are no options. And I would tell her, okay, look at the menu again and look at the side dishes or look at the accompaniments to the meat. That's what I do. I would go, I'd be like, okay, is it possible? I'll pay for the full meal. Doesn't matter, but just this plate, I want the vegetables, I want the potatoes, I want whatever green there is, but just, I don't want the meat. And I explain to them why. And a lot of times they actually tell me, you know what? The chef will just veganize something for you. Like, no one will say no because they want to make the customer happy. So there's always a way. There's no real excuse. But I get it. A lot of people need more convincing. A lot of people need more time. So even if people substitute, I don't know, like instead of having 5 meals that are meat and, chicken based a week, why don't you do 2? And you have 3 that are, vegetarian, at least vegetarian, just to kind of slowly get your way there.
Yeah,
And
for
they'll feel the difference.
Yeah, and even if you're unsure, like there's a lot of resources nowadays and a lot of different ways to get resources. Of course, there's podcasts. Of course, there's YouTube. There's Netflix. You can find so many documentaries on Netflix. If you love to read, there's so many books out there that you could really learn from. And I think that the information, like I think it's never been easier, really. Like
That's true.
It's never been easier than
Pinterest.
now, right? Sure, Pinterest.
Was literally my savior at the beginning when I turned vegan. I put vegan chicken, vegan, I don't know what, and it just flooded with information. So
yeah, I posted.
Have you noticed something? Here's a question for you. When
Sure.
you turned vegan, I mean, you went for health reasons, but did you suddenly realize everything else? I mean, the humanity of it, the impact on the earth. Because when I turned vegan, not only did I turn vegan food-wise, I make sure that I don't buy leather anymore, and all the products that I buy, I make sure that they're not animal tested. I started falling in love with plants and growing, and even plastic. I'm trying as hard as I can to rid myself of anything plastic. When I go to the supermarket, which I do once a week to stock up, I use reusable bags. I use reusable vegetable bags, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see that there are people out there that are doing this here. So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it started out for health reasons. So I wanted to better my health. I was battling some health issues, but I wouldn't say it was a suddenly all these things. I think it was a step-by-step process.
Definitely.
For me, I cut out all the animal products right away to try it. It wasn't like I woke up and I said, this is going to work. I said, let me try it.
Yeah.
I saw some information that led me to believe that this could help me.
Yeah.
So based on that information, I said, let me try it. If there's no way you could know something without trying. For me, I had to try. I'm the type of person that, you know what, I'll try that. Or I'll try this. Before, when I wasn't vegan, I was also the type of person, I would try anything.
Yeah.
I ate alligator, I ate squid, I ate almost any animal that was in front of me that someone would offer me. I said, I'll try it. I was that type of person that I would try it. So I said, I'll try this. I tried this, and in the benefits that I felt pretty quickly, health-wise, like I wasn't sick anymore and I started losing weight, I was so interested in those benefits that I wanted to learn more about it. So that led me into more documentaries. I think the next one I watched was Cowspiracy, which talks about the environment. And that was really probably the most amazing one, because I think that if people can say, oh, I really care about my health, and that's important to them, and that's fine. Everyone cares about, people should care about their health. Then other people say, I care about animals, and that's totally okay too. I care about animals. But if you care about the planet, that affects every single person's health and every single animal.
Exactly.
There is no planet B. So that was very important and very impactful. But then I started watching the ethical ones. So I watched I was like, okay, so I know that we don't have to eat this and we can be healthier. I know now that it is damaging the planet in many ways. So why are we still doing this, and how are they being treated? So then I watched how they're being treated, and I watched several documentaries like Earthlings, Dominion. They're very heartbreaking. They're very hard to watch, but I felt obligated and responsible to watch that. If I'm going to pay for this, I deserve to see what's happening.
Exactly.
If I'm not paying for it, then I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
There's no need. But because I had paid for it, I felt like I had to watch this. It was almost like I'm forcing myself. I'm like punishing myself for things that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
Like, this is my punishment, right? And I almost feel like I owe it to the amount of animals, because on average, normal American diet, Western diet, the consumption of animals is about 100 per year is the average, is what they say. And so if you do not eat animals, then you're saving about 100 animals per year. So I felt that for 29 years, right, on average, right? I mean, I don't know how much animals I ate as a baby. I went vegan when I was 29 years. So for me, that's 2,900.
No, same thing.
Oh, really? 29? Yeah. What month?
May.
Oh, January for me. So that's 2,900 animals that I owe. Right.
Yeah.
Now I can make that up in many ways. I can make that up for myself. It would take me 29 years alone. But if I persuade somebody else or pay it forward and educate somebody else, which I've had many people now that have gone vegan or have made the switch or made changes. So I'm probably close to paying up that debt. But that was what I felt first. And then I wanted to educate people. So then that's when I got into this field where I'm doing the podcast or doing the YouTube, is where I really wanted to educate after I learned that stuff. So I wouldn't say it was like a sudden change. It was very gradual. And I think where it comes from is the social media. And I have a video where I talk about social media and the power of social media and how I think social media will be the end of meat. That's what I believe. And so because of the social media, I would start to like different pages. So you like a page on Facebook. And then you see more of it. Or you befriend someone on Facebook. You see more of their content. Or on Instagram. And so you start to learn more stuff from people that are like-minded. So that's when you learn more about the animal testing. Yeah. You see a video and you're like, let me watch this. I don't really know that much about animal testing. So you watch a video and you're like, okay, it's a little bit worse than I thought. Right? And I read a book called Animal Liberation. It's an old book, but amazing. And it talks about a lot of stuff about the lives of animals, but there's one section about animal testing it's very hard to read, but at least you're reading it, you're not seeing it, but it's very powerful. That really describes the extensive nature of animal testing, and I found that very fascinating. But now I think I'm almost in the mode where I think the most important thing for us is to save our planet. So I almost now believe that I'm vegan for the planet. And before I was vegan for health or vegan for animals, because it's all encompassing. If you're vegan for the planet, you obviously care about everyone that lives on the planet, including the animals. Everything and every plant. And so we're under the 6th mass extinction right now, which is very shocking and very appalling, which means that we're losing so many species so fast that they're going extinct as fast as any other time in history. When we had mass extinctions.
It's greed. It's I want more space. I want to cut down more trees, but we don't need more space. Why don't we use what we have? I mean, the earth has given us everything that we could possibly need. So why are we creating more things that are ruining the planet? You know, I mean, like you said, I mean, plants have healing powers, right? I mean, you have antioxidants, you have things that help with your headache. There's so many different things. So why do we have aspirin? Why do we have medicine when we could eat natural products that are actually better for our health in the long run and better for the planet?
It's not profitable. Simple. It doesn't make money. It's all about greed. Business. It's all about the greed. Yeah. So I think that I appreciate everything that you shared. I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm rooting for your business. I want your business to boom. I'll do everything I can to help spread this and share, and hopefully more people will see it that haven't seen it already. I am in a WhatsApp group for Riyadh vegans as well. Maybe we're in the same one. So I'll definitely do my best to share this and help you grow, because I believe now that people need the great tasting food. People need to taste that and to understand that you can eat great tasting food and be healthy and hopefully live longer. So getting that into them, and also all the things that you do for animals. Your animals are so beautiful. Even though the one barked at me for a little bit too long, I still love him. All right, he's just trying to be productive. But yeah, so I appreciate it. Is there anything else, maybe one big thing that you want to leave the audience with that maybe you don't want them to forget? Anything?
Vegans are a community. This is what I've noticed, and this is what I love. All vegans out there are supportive. The vegan businesses, there's no competitiveness. I mean, there obviously is, but it's more of trying to band together and trying to help each other, which is what I love, because you're going to the root of, of love for everything. And this is what I love about veganism. You find a community of beautiful people who want to help you succeed. And that's how you start. That's how you turn vegan. You find yourself a community and you get the support.
Yeah, and anyone that doesn't have a community, or anyone that is vegan that's listening, search for it. like it's not going to just come to you. Go do a search. You know, there might be local chapters in your area where you can do some activism. There might be Facebook groups. There's groups everywhere. You can find friends. I've talked to people online that say, you know, I really feel depressed, or I feel like there's no one out there, there's no one to talk to. Go find a group, share with your beliefs, share your values, get together, go eat some food together, go cook together, do potlucks. Everyone needs a community. Everyone needs to be part of it. And right now, obviously, the vegan community is whatever it is, 1%, 2% of the population, and growing. But at the meantime, you might not have people around you. Find them online and find ways to meet them, find ways to interact with them, because they're out there, and they're just a call away or a message away, and you can really find a new friend. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you for your hospitality and your amazing food. We'll be in touch, and thank you guys. See you soon.